A lot happened last time, so to speed things up, here's a quick recap. Aura began her life as a teenager, as we skipped 7 years ahead from the previous step. Now 13, a lot has changed for Aura, her friends, and family. Lizzie, now 15, looks completely different, and the same is true of Aura's parents. Cove, who doesn't look like a 13-year-old, has changed as well, as too have his feelings for Aura. 3 new characters who are Aura's age were introduced. Derek, who looks like a 13-year-old, Jeremy, who looks like a Orochimaru weirdly, and Leandra, Aura's cousin and only friend who's a female. Lastly, Cove, during a surprise visit at night, informed us that his father had invited his mom to stay with him for the summer. Cove, who was understandably upset, asked to stay with us for a while, as he didn't want to return home. Inviting him to play cards, Aura and Cove were consumed by the night. However, upon awakening the next morning, Aura discovered that he had never left. And that is where we begin.
You froze. Your muscles refused to move an inch. Your eyes widened as you stared at Cove's sleeping form in an absolute shock. If your moms found out he had slept here the entire night, you would both be in big trouble. Realizing quickly that you needed to get Cove out of here before your moms or Elizabeth walked in and found him, you willed your body to get a move on and swung your legs over the side of the bed. You threw a pillow at him. Grabbing one of the soft, fluffy pillows from your bed, you tossed it at Cove, and he woke with a start. You scrambled out of the way as he abruptly jumped to his feet before almost losing his balance and falling back down. He recovered as quickly and faced you indignantly. What was that for? Shh! What? The situation dawned on him too, before he even finished the word. Cove blinked at you a couple times, his eyes growing in panic, as some thought that only he could hear settled in his mind. Oh my god! I fell asleep! You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room, looking around frantically. Cove's hands flew to his face, letting out a sigh of relief when he found his glasses right where they were supposed to be. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere was still frazzled. Settle down before moms hear you. Cove nodded, his shoulders tensed as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in exasperation. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke. I'll see you later. You were confused by how all of this had played out, but hoped that was true. Right, bye, Cove. And at that, you were suddenly wrapped up in a tense embrace. As panicked as he was, this seemed to be something he couldn't forget before leaving. Thanks again. You're a good friend, Aura. A really good friend. He firmly whispered the words into the top of your shoulders. It made you feel tingly. But you were let go before you had a chance to respond, or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he had climbed over your bed, opened the window. A cool breeze rolled off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with a salty scent. Cove fearlessly stepped out onto the ledge. You wished him luck. Good luck. Be super careful. You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other, with increasing speed, until his form disappeared out of sight. You stuck your head out the window, as far as it could go, to try to keep watching. He walked the full length of the ledge before jumping down to the top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the fence. From there, he finally dropped to the ground. He threw out a thumbs up at his successful climb. Thank God you didn't break another arm. He ran off towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. You had to admit that you were pretty impressed at how doable he made that look. Cove always seemed to have a way of seeming so smooth without even meaning to. With a little sigh, you reclosed your window. Deciding there was nothing more you could do, you hopped off your bed and got ready to head down the stairs for the day. You checked yourself in the mirror. You certainly looked like you had just woken up with your black hair sticking up all over the place. Taking a comb from your bedside table, you attempted to fix and smooth down some of the messy strands. You took the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face into a look of innocence. Just smile, it'll be okay. Nobody knows, nobody knows. You were sure that someone would have come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but you couldn't be too careful. You had to play it cool. When you stepped into the living room, Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger on the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth. She looked you over immediately, her eyes squinting at the greeting. Why are you being so weird? Why are you being so weird? You hadn't even done anything! Your big sister never missed a beat, unfortunately. You turned and offered a tight smile, and her lips pursed together, even tighter. Aura. Wouldn't you let... You clammed up. She began to smile, thinking whatever you were hiding was bigger than she assumed. What's going on? Nothing. Further suspicious squinting occurred as she waited for something, but ultimately she rolled her eyes, and you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't seem to care enough to dig any further. Whatever. And then she walked straight out the front door, letting it slam shut behind her, and you let out a brief sigh. Elizabeth went out most days to hang out with her friends from school around town. Today you were extra glad for it, though you were also grateful she had left the house and hadn't left the house any sooner. I have also just realized I have been doing the male narrator voice instead of the female one. I am sorry, folks, for the change. And is running into Cove. I am going to swap back. It looked like you were getting away with that. Breakfast was eaten in peace and alone. Your moms were both out by the time you had gotten up. They had left you a serving of food from the breakfast they made. Hash browns, an omelet, fruit salad, and there were a few sausage links. You took a little bit of everything. You passed on some parts because you were trying to avoid animal products. No! Because you were passed on some parts because they weren't things you liked. You took a little bit of everything. It was tasty. You appreciated that there was a variety in the meals your moms made. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. I'm not gonna limit Aura on food choice. As much as that could be a fun quirk, I'm not gonna make that decision. I think that enjoying a little bit of everything is also going to be a quirk in and of itself. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. You pulled open the fridge again, lingering in the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice-cold water and taking a long drink. It was perfect, balmy summer afternoon, and you had decided to head outdoors and find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was just yet, but you were sure something would pop up to occupy your time. As you were heading out the front door, you paused for a moment. You hadn't seen Coves since he had left that morning, so you couldn't help but think about what had happened to him. Would it be bad to go over to his house right now, or to call him to check in? You stepped out of your house, still stuck in an internal debate with yourself, when a voice caught your attention. Hey, Aura! Confused, you looked over to where an unrecognizable woman— oh, it's a female. I thought it was Derek. Woman was waving at you, a friendly smile plastered on her face. You racked your memory for where you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. Oh, it's his mom. Not your school, or from the country club your moms took you to. You had absolutely no idea who the woman was. The woman who crossed the road towards you. There's no who in there, and you were a little unsure whether you should stay put or go back into the house and lock the door. Oh, that's definitely Cove's mom. Oops, I'm sorry. Was that presumptuous? I've heard about you, but you have no idea who I am, do you? I don't know if I like this voice for you. I do like this voice for you. You shook your head, and she removed her sunglasses to reveal sparkly ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden, she seemed a little more familiar. My son lives here, and my ex too. With a bent smile, she lifted a hand to point at the condo across the street from your own house. She was Cove's mom. You didn't know why you hadn't realized sooner, now that you'd gotten a good look at her. Yeah, no, makes sense. She looked really young. It was almost hard to believe she had a 13-year-old kid. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt taken aback that she had appeared here so suddenly. Cove mentioned she was coming, but you hadn't gotten the impression it would be the very next day. She extended a hand again, this time for you to take, and you studied the manicured fingers in front of your face and the assortment of bracelets that dangled from her wrist. I'm Kira Priest. You can call me Kira. You shook her hand. You reached out and took her hand, and she shook yours firmly, grinning wide. I'm Aura, but you already know that.
That I do.
That? She does not sound a little bit of bad Russian, but I'm gonna stick with it. That I do. Cove mentioned you to me before. It's so nice to officially meet you, Aura. Cove talked to you about his mom. He hadn't mentioned how he said things about you to her. What has Cove said about me? Oh, I can't tell you that. I've already said too much. She laughed good-naturedly. You couldn't be happy about that answer, though. The sound of a door opening and closing caught both of your attentions, and when you turned towards the sound, it was to find Cove exiting his house, his eyes skimming the ground. Considering just how tall he had grown, you kind of figured his mom also would have been tall, but she was much more on the short side for an adult. Anyways, Cove's height must have come from his father.
My baby.
There you are! I thought you were going to keep me standing out here all day. You tried to catch Cove's eye as he walked towards you, but his gaze was firmly fixed on the sidewalk. When he finally crossed the road and looked up, he gave you a pitiful look. After the way he had acted last night, you know he must be feeling pretty mixed up about this. You tried to wordlessly express that you understood. Yeah. Cove and I are heading into town to grab something to eat while the snore is at work. Kira beamed at Cove and ruffled his hair, which only seemed to upset him more. You assumed the snore she was talking about was Mr. Holden. Damn it, I don't... God, am I not supposed to like her? Because I kind of don't like her already. Her insulting freaking Mr. Holden in front of her kid already doesn't give me a good vibe. The snore, so she must mean he's boring. I don't like you. Hey, you should come with us, Aura. I'd love to get to know you better. Yeah, you should come. There was a pleading in his tone that you couldn't miss. Of course, we'll run it by your parents first. Responsibility, and all that. I don't think you're very responsible, the fact that you gave up custody to Mr. Holden. Unless you lost. Maybe I'm judging. Maybe I'm judging too soon. I may be wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be judgmental. But something about Cove's expression makes me think that I shouldn't like her. Of course, we'll run it by your parents first. Responsibility and all that, she said once again. It'll give me an excuse to meet them, which I need to do at some point. It's important to be neighborly. If I'm going to be roosting on this street for the time being, any hussies, let's go. Kira walked ahead towards your house, and you hung back with Cove, who crinkled his nose as you watched her. I'm sorry about her, but I really do want you to come. I don't want it to be just the two of us. Not right now. You leaned in closer and whispered while checking around for anyone who might hear. What happened? Did your dad know you were gone? Cove shook his head and sighed heavily. Dad was so focused on Mom showing up, he didn't even notice. I thought when I heard them on the phone last night that it was something they were planning for the future. This morning, Dad said it was supposed to be a surprise, and I guess I was surprised. She's gonna be here all summer. Oh. You were surprised to hear that too. Cove sighed again, even heavier. I'll go with you, if you really want me to. He smiled, his shoulders relaxing a little in relief. Thanks, that'd be cool. Now that I've got a close-up on her, I don't know. Is she a model? I think she's supposed to be a model. Is that like tattoos or is that sleeves? I think it's sleeves. It doesn't look like tattoos. Oh, it's a shawl. Okay. The two of you headed over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind her. Mom answered the door after a minute, her eyebrows lifting in surprise at the group she found in front of her. You realized that, like you, she would have no idea it was Cove's mom who's hanging with you. However, after blinking at the woman a couple of times and looking between her and Cove, the realization seemed to strike on. Hello there, I'm Pamela. I see you've met my kid, Aura, and I'm guessing you've already known Cove for a while. Kira laughed, and you and Cove exchanged looks at your parents' weird sense of humor. I'm Kira Priest, Cove's mom. It's so nice to meet you. A head of purple-brown hair caught your eyes as Ma popped up behind Mom, squeezing herself in beside her. We have company. I was wondering what all the commotion was. She grinned excitedly at Kira. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands. Hi, Aura. Cove. Cove smiled at Ma shyly, and she gestured a hand towards the living room. There's no use hanging around in the doorway. Why don't you come in? I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat, and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise visit. Ah, I understand. You're welcome to stop by anytime.
Of course.
I'll take you up on the offer when I can. Count on it. Would you mind too much if Aura went with Cove and I? My treat. We won't be driving, just a quick walk down the road. Sure, that sounds nice.
Have fun.
I hope you all have fun. You gave your moms a look, and they smiled at you fondly. You were happy they were letting you go. You could tell that Cove really needed the support, and you were ready to be there for him.
Marvelous.
Marvelous. Expect us back in an hour or two. We look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Your parents waved goodbye to the three of you as you backed up onto the street. There was the sound of the front door closing behind you. I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in the taxi, not too far from here. Yeah, there's a lot of them around. The answer was straightforward, and the tone was curt. Cove was usually more light-hearted than that. Kira put her hand on her hips and smiled at her son. Well, you sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a place nearby? Not really. Kira pouted at him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, Aura? Want to point me in the right direction? At least she's kinda trying. Sure, I have a couple favorites. You've been to a lot of places in town, and there were a couple that stood out from all the rest. There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorite. There's also a tropical-themed place that tries to be sort of fancy. Both sound like a treat. I'll leave it to you to pick for us, since Cove is going through a phase over here. He huffed at her and turned his face away. The tropical-themed place.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aura. Will you show us the way? You nodded, taking the lead of your little group as Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together, the three of you left the neighborhood behind. The walk was about 15 minutes, and along the way, Kira asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Not sure how I feel about this chick. I don't know if she's, maybe she was super young when she had Cove, and that's why she left Mr. Holden. But Mr. Holden also seems super young, so maybe that's the situation. Or maybe it's something else. I don't know. We'll find out. Kira explained that she lived in a large city, and she loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed in Sunset Bird. The restaurant was busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Kira lowered herself into the chair, while Cove picked the one diagonal to her, not facing her, or to her side. It was awkward. Yeah, talk about awkward. I'm gonna save real quick, because I haven't saved in a long time. Let's see. To start, what would you all like to drink? I'll get an orange soda. Noted! Ora. Ah. God, I miss coffee. I can't have coffee anymore. But I miss coffee. God, I miss coffee. Okay, coffee. Coffee. Kira gave you a raised eyebrow, then smiled. Iced or hot? There's sugar on the table if you want to add that, but do you want cream with it? Iced with cream. Sure. Kira placed the order for your drinks, getting a black, hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table and set in front of you. You took a long sip of your drink as you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked over the menus, deciding what to order. The last time you came here, the dish you ordered was amazing. You wanted to order something different this time. Kira and Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon, the meals, too, were ordered and the menus taken away. You glanced at the table surface, waiting to figure out what to say. Cove sunk back further into his seat and avoided eye contact. He started to twiddle his thumbs while acting like all this was perfectly normal. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of getting lunch with his mother with me nearby. That's kind of awkward. I wouldn't blame him. His sour feelings today were unignorable. Instead of asking more open questions he'd brush off, Kira had mercy on her son and instead put her focus towards you. So, Ora, what's a few things that you're into? There's got to be something you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. I'm really... Fuck no. I'm not that blunt. I like to read. I write things. I like both of these responses. Games are fun. I like to play. I like multiple of these responses. Can I choose multiple? Out of all of these, I like the I write things. I'm gonna go with this. I write things. A fellow writer. Writing is a great form of expression, don't you think? Oh, Kira's a writer? Well, that took the bar up a little for me on liking her. Kira sighed wistfully, her eyes going soft. I like to read. Oh. Manga. I haven't heard of that style, but I'm sure it's very good. Fiction, me too, poetry, sophisticated beyond your years, I see. And, comic books. Oh, just like Go's daddy back in the day. And a few non-fiction books. I'll bet you know about a lot of things, then. Not so much magazines. And games are fun. I like to play. Video games, board games, and card games. Video games, I don't know much about them. Maybe you can show me sometime. Board games, that's great. We should all play a game together sometime. And card games. I like card games too. Maybe we can all play together sometime. And music. Ooh. I play the violin. I've played the violin before, and I played the violin in middle school and a little bit in my later years, so I play the violin. It is a beautiful instrument. I listen to a lot of it. I have an MP3 player at home that my mom helped me put some music on, and I've seen some concerts. Awesome. And I like to watch TV. It's pretty addicting when you find a good series, isn't it? Movies. Kira nodded her head, and you guessed she must really like that too. Plays. That's very interesting. And stand-up comedy. Cool. I wonder how much of this I can click before I annoy her. I don't hang out with people. I go to the beach and go surfing. Oh, do you and Cove surf together? Kira looked at Cove expectantly, who mumbled something non-committedly and looked away. Walk along the shore. That's a nice way to relax. I hope to be able to spend some time on the shore while I'm here myself. Yeah. And swimming. You must be a strong swimmer since you live so close to the ocean. I find the water a little scary, but I like to dip my toes in sometimes and look for shells. I keep the best ones for my collection. I'm sure it's an incredible collection. And not into... I don't think I'm really into sports. I'm a I still spend time studying in summer. I have to admit, I don't know a lot of people who enjoy that, but hard work is key to getting what you want in life. Yeah, picking out personal projects, learning how to speak a different language, learning a new hobby, stuff like that's fun. Especially during summer vacation, you get a lot of freedom during that period of time. I'm gonna say it. I'm really into Cove. Kira let out a sudden laugh, and Cove gasped beside you. It was a dramatic enough inhale that he almost choked on the soda. You shrugged at the reaction. It was a truthful answer to the question. Aura! Cove whispered at you disapprovingly, obscuring part of his face with a hand, but Kira only waved him off and encouraged you to go on. We spend time together when we can. I like it. Well, we have something in common. Kira smiled at Cove. He didn't look too impressed by either of you at the moment. I spent some time on art. I create digitally. I love that. My computer at home doesn't really have all the programs I need. And painting. I enjoy painting from time to time too, but I can't say I'm any good at it. Okay. I don't like fashion. And you didn't say anything else. There we go. Thanks. I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I hadn't heard. Cove leaves the details out. I have established more of Aura as a character, and I love it. Thanks. I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I hadn't heard. Cove leaves the details out. He was trying not to pay attention, but you could tell he was uncomfortable. Hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air, you decided to ask Kira a few questions of your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her, and you were curious to know more about this woman who was such a big part of his life. What exactly do you do for work? I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work. Wow. Fuck that. No, I'm not opening that can of worms. Not that one either. What do you like to do? Spend time with my little boy, of course, and traveling. A real shock. Where do you live normally? Nevada. Have you ever been there? You shook your head. It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can. I'm not asking those. It didn't seem to bother her that the conversation dropped off. Cove sipped from his soda angrily, slurping up the remaining drink with furrowed brows. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. You weren't sure if coming along had ended up making the lunch better or worse. You flicked his straw wrapper at him. The wrapper hit Cove on the nose, and you had to bite down on your lip to keep from laughing. It took a couple moments, but finally, he cracked a smile, and that made you feel a little lighter inside.
Very cute.
You two seem really cute together. Cove covered his face with his hands and leaned back in his seat.
Seriously?
Mom, why would you say that? You just laughed. You blushed. Were the two of you really cute together? Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was so delicious. I think that Aura is embarrassed when other people say things. I think that she likes teasing Cove about it. But I feel like other people saying things about it, she gets a little flustered. Still. Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was so delicious. Even Cove enjoyed his food. All right, now that we're all full and content, can you explain, please, why you've had a bug up your butt all day? Cove's face scrunched at that. Seriously, baby, what did Mom do to make you this mad? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to make eye contact. The words he spoke were barely audible over the din of the restaurant. You could have told me. She leaned forward to not miss anything, eyebrows raised. Told you what? He finally seemed to find his voice and spoke the thoughts that had been on his mind. That I wasn't going to visit you this year. That you were going to be coming instead. Didn't you invite me? You wanted me here with you. Cove's eyes began to shake, and his frustration ebbed. I do want you to be I do want you to be around, but I didn't know it'd be like this. It's not the same. Nobody said anything.
I see.
I see. Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed her hands in front of her on the table. We've both been gifted another Clifford surprise. Referring to that as a Clifford surprise almost caused both you and Cove to crack a smile. You also had no idea his name wasn't just Cliff. Over 5 years, nobody had ever called him Clifford until now. Ah, his name's Clifford. She smoothed her hair out, not letting go of her stern look. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They let out identical sighs, but smiled weakly at one another afterwards. I can go home, Cove. We can still set up a normal trip to my place before the summer ends. Cove's lips tightly closed together. He seriously pondered the option. I think I do want you to stay. I miss it when you're not there. My heart! She reached across the gap, grabbed his face, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Cove tried to wiggle away. Mom, stop! I'm sorry, sweet young men need to be smooched by their parents. If I don't, they'll take away my mom license. Cove was completely enthused by Cove's admission. Though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation continued. Do you want to talk to your dad too? No! Cove had snapped the word instantly, but reeled his annoyance back in just as quickly. Maybe later, not today. I understand. We can shelve it. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for talking to me, little mister. She grinned affectionately at him before turning your way. And thank you, Aura. What did I do? It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's hard to keep that up with your neighbor watching everything. What? Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. She winked. Mom! She just ruffled his hair with a laugh, then moved her hand down to tap the end of his nose. And that was how the issue was resolved, at least between Cove and his mom. When the three of you left the restaurant, Kira had paid the bill. You walked back to your neighborhood slowly. Okay, I don't dislike her. I feel like I may have judged her too harshly. Maybe she had her reasons. We'll find out. I refused to ask that question. That is something that they can tell me in their own time. I'm not bringing that shit up. I just met the woman. You had eaten so much by that time, you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that the lunch had happened late, and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. Whoa! Pulling your hair down, Mr. Holden? Appreciate the look. But eventually, you reached your street. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival. Welcome back, family. And Aura, too. Cliff. Dad. The two walked past him into the condo without sparing another word. Despite the summer heat, their shoulders were cold. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. He rubbed the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on after them. He's so much like his mom, don't you think? You gave a vague nod. Not sure what he was expecting you to do. He nodded back, far more energetically. Okay, have a nice night, Aura. You too, Mr. Holden. With that, Cove's dad disappeared to join the others inside. It was your turn to go home now. Summer hadn't started off at all how you imagined it would have, though it turned out to set the tone well. Having Kira in the neighborhood was a new experience for not only you and Cove, but also both your families, and a dull moment was rarely had. And now, oh wait. Thank you for purchasing Derek's DLC. Here you can play 5 new moments centered around Derek. He also has a special epilogue in Step 4. To unlock it, you need to fulfill these conditions. Play all 5 of Derek's DLC moments, completing Soiree with Cove, or by going alone is alright. So as long as you finish the moment, choose to remain in touch with Derek during Step 3, then you will have the option to play Derek's epilogue during Step 4. You can make another save on the epilogue selection page to reload and pick another later. Derek's DLC can be a friendship or romance story. Oh my god. Okay. So we have a lot more to the left of this game than I thought. There's apparently a step 4. Didn't know about that. So yeah, I guess for now I'm just gonna save. I'm very interested in what the future of this game holds. It seems like the game's getting more into it. I said I was gonna be comfortable with Clove, but I've ended up being blunt over and over again, but that is fine. I'm just going to keep playing the story how I think Aura would play it. So, but yeah, for now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know that this is probably coming off like after 4 or 5 videos, because yeah, this was a very long one. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2 hours. But yeah, for the moment, I'm just going to say to all of you, thank you all so much for watching this video. And for right now, I'm going to close the door on this one.